The car hide accident. In 2012, in Birmingham, England, 8-year-old Tyler McLean was playing hide-and-seek with a group of children near his home. It was late afternoon and the game had spread across a small residential parking area lined with parked cars and vans. The goal was simple: find a place where no one would think to look. As the others ran in different directions, Tyler spotted a parked van. Without hesitation, he crouched down and slid underneath it, positioning himself between the wheels where the shadows made him almost invisible. From the outside, there was no sign he was there. Moments later, the owner of the van returned. He had no idea children were playing nearby. From his perspective, the area looked clear. No movement, no noise. He got inside the vehicle and started the engine. Underneath, Tyler remained still, believing he had found the perfect hiding spot. The van shifted into reverse. It began to move. In an instant, the wheels rolled over him. There was no time to react, no space to escape from underneath the vehicle. The driver felt a sudden bump and stopped immediately. People nearby heard the noise and rushed over. The game stopped instantly as the situation became clear. Emergency services were called within seconds. Paramedics arrived quickly, but the injuries were already critical. Tyler McLean died shortly afterward. The Suitcase hide death. It started as something playful. In 2020, in Winter Park, Florida, 42-year-old Jorge Torres Jr. was at home with his girlfriend, Sarah Boone. According to her, they had been drinking and playing games, including hide-and-seek, inside the apartment. At some point, Jorge climbed into a suitcase. It was large enough for him to fit, but once inside, his movement was extremely limited. From the outside, it looked completely closed. Sarah zipped it up. At first, it may have seemed like part of the game. But once the suitcase was fully sealed, everything changed. Inside, Jorge had almost no space to move, no airflow, and no way to open it from the inside. He began calling out, asking to be let out. He couldn't get out on his own. Phone recordings later revealed that he was still speaking, still conscious, still trying to get her attention. But the zipper stayed closed. Hours passed. Inside the confined space, the oxygen level dropped while carbon dioxide increased. His breathing became more difficult with every minute. There was no room to shift position, no way to expand his chest properly. By the time the suitcase was opened the next day, Jorge Torres Jr. was unresponsive. He had been trapped in a space never meant to hold a person, with no way to escape once it was sealed. The Chimney hide death. A group of children were playing hide-and-seek across a quiet neighborhood in Colorado in 2011. As the game spread from yard to yard, 9-year-old Daniel Reed went looking for a place no one would think to check. He moved behind his house and noticed the chimney. From the outside, it looked just wide enough. He climbed up and slowly lowered himself inside, convinced it was the perfect hiding spot. At first, everything went as planned. He slid down carefully, using his arms and legs to control his descent, but after a short distance, the space tightened around him, too tight. He tried to stop, then tried to climb back up, but there was no room to turn, no grip strong enough to pull himself back. He was stuck. Inside the chimney, the air was limited. The pressure of the walls made it harder to breathe with every movement. Outside, the game continued. The other children searched nearby, calling his name, moving from one hiding spot to another. No one thought to look inside the chimney. Time passed. His breathing became more difficult. Panic made it worse. When he didn't return, adults were called. A search began, checking the house, the yard, the surrounding area. It wasn't until later that someone realized where he might be. The shipping container trap. In 2016, in Liverpool, England, a group of children were playing hide-and-seek near an industrial area not far from a shipping yard. It was a place they had explored before, filled with stacked containers, narrow passages, and plenty of places to hide. Among them was 10-year-old Corey Thompson. As the game began, the children scattered in different directions. Some hid behind barriers, others ran between containers. Corey wanted a spot where no one would think to look. He found an open shipping container. It was large, dark, and empty inside. From the outside, it looked like just another closed unit among dozens of others. He stepped in and moved toward the back, letting the darkness hide him completely. Moments later, the heavy metal door swung shut. Whether it was the wind or movement nearby, no one saw it happen. Inside, everything went black. Corey tried to push the door open, but from the inside, it wouldn't move. Shipping containers are designed to lock tightly from the outside. There was no handle, no easy way to force it open. He began shouting, but the thick steel walls blocked the sound almost entirely. Outside, the game continued. No one realized where he was. Time passed. The air inside the container began to change. It grew warmer, heavier, harder to breathe. Hours later, when the other children noticed he was missing, they began searching the area. Adults were called, and the search widened. Eventually, someone opened the container. Inside, Corey Thompson was found unresponsive. In a space designed to transport goods across the world, he had been completely sealed off, hidden in a place no one thought to check in time. The elevator shaft hide. The game had already gone on for several minutes when one of the teenagers decided the usual hiding spots weren't enough. In 2015, inside a residential building in Sao Paulo, 16-year-old Rafael Costa slipped away from the others and headed toward a restricted area near the elevators. He had seen maintenance workers go there before. It seemed perfect. He pushed open a service door and stepped into a dim corridor used for technical access. At the end, there was a gap near the elevator shaft. From where he stood, it looked like a solid surface behind the partially open doors. He assumed the elevator was there. It wasn't. The cabin was on another floor, leaving an empty shaft behind the opening. In the low light, it was almost impossible to tell. Trying to get deeper into his hiding spot, Raphael stepped forward and disappeared. He fell several floors down the shaft. The drop was immediate, with no way to stop or grab onto anything along the way. Upstairs, the game continued. The others were still searching, unaware of what had just happened. It wasn't until minutes later, when they realized he wasn't responding, that concern started to grow. They called out his name, checked the usual places, nothing. Eventually, someone noticed the open service area. Emergency services were called and responders arrived quickly, but the fall had already been fatal. In a place he thought no one would find him, Rafael Costa had stepped into a space that wasn't there at all. The freezer hide tragedy. In 2008, in rural Georgia, 6-year-old Caleb Dixon was playing hide-and-seek with his cousins in the backyard of his family home. The property was large, with old sheds, unused equipment, and plenty of places to hide. As the game started, the children scattered. Caleb ran toward an old storage area behind the house. There, he found an abandoned chest freezer. The appliance had been left outside for years. It was no longer in use, but the lid still worked. From the outside, it looked like the perfect hiding spot. He lifted the lid and climbed inside, then pulled it closed. Inside, everything went completely dark. At first, he stayed quiet, waiting to be found. But after a few moments, he tried to push the lid open again. It didn't move. Older chest freezers are designed to seal tightly. From the inside, there was no handle, no release mechanism. He began to panic. The space was small and sealed. The oxygen inside was limited, and with every breath, the air became thinner. Outside, the game continued. The other children searched nearby, calling out names, laughing, moving from one hiding spot to another. No one thought to check inside the freezer. As time passed, Caleb's breathing became harder. The lack of oxygen and rising panic took a toll on his body. By the time his family realized he was missing and began a serious search, precious time had already passed. When the freezer was finally opened, he was found unresponsive inside. In a place meant to store cold air, the sealed space had left him with none at all. The abandoned building fall. They weren't supposed to be there. In 2018, a group of teenagers entered an abandoned building in Detroit looking for a place to play hide-and-seek away from adults. The structure had been empty for years, partially damaged, with broken windows and unstable floors. For them, it was just another playground. As the game started, they split up across different levels. Some stayed on the lower floors. Others climbed higher, searching for better hiding spots. 17-year-old Marcus Hill went further than the rest. He made his way up to an upper floor where parts of the structure had already begun to weaken. The ground beneath him looked intact, but large sections had been compromised over time. He stepped forward, moving deeper into the building to stay out of sight. Then the floor gave way. Without warning, the surface collapsed beneath him. He fell through to the level below, hitting debris and broken concrete on the way down. The sound echoed through the building. At first, the others thought it was just part of the environment, something falling somewhere in the structure. But when Marcus didn't respond to calls, the situation quickly changed. They began searching, calling his name, moving between floors. Eventually, they found the hole. Looking down, they saw where he had fallen. Emergency services were called, but the injuries from the fall were already severe. Inside a building that had been standing empty for years, one step onto the wrong surface had been enough. The washing machine death. In 2014, in Paris, 7-year-old Lucas Martin was playing hide-and-seek inside his family's apartment with his older siblings. It was a rainy afternoon, and the game had moved indoors, spreading from room to room. As the others counted, Lucas rushed to find a place where no one would think to look. He ran into the laundry room. There, he saw the washing machine. The door was slightly open. Without thinking twice, he climbed inside the drum, curling his body to fit into the confined space. From the outside, it looked completely normal once the door closed. Moments later, one of his family members entered the room. Not realizing Lucas was inside, they loaded some clothes and closed the machine, then pressed start. The cycle began. At first, the movement was slow. The drum started rotating, filling with water. Inside, Lucas was trapped in total darkness, with no space to move and no way to open the door from within. As the machine accelerated, the situation became uncontrollable. The noise of the washing machine drowned out any sound from inside. Minutes passed before something seemed wrong. When the machine was finally stopped and opened, it was already too late. Inside a space designed for clothes, Lucas Martin had been completely trapped once the cycle began. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and help boost the video. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you soon. Bye.